America. Yeah, it's technically stolen land. And before you click away thinking, oh no, this is going to be one of those videos, let me stop you right there. Imagine a country built on treaties, promises, and the idea of justice, and then proceeding to do none of that. Yep, that's the USA's origin story in a nutshell. Let's talk about how we went from land of the free to land that we sort of took. Let's talk about this land before Europeans showed up. A beautiful, vast continent, full of mountains, deserts, forests, and oceans. Avatar, the last airbender vibes, but make it real life. It was home to hundreds, no thousands of tribes and nations who thrived here for thousands of years. This was their home, their culture, their everything. Then, Europeans rolled up on boats like, oh, look at all this free real estate. And that's when the headache began. But don't worry, the US had a plan. At least George Washington claimed they did. His big brain idea? Treat the native tribes with justice and humanity. Spoiler alert. He lied. Like hard. Let's fast forward to 1803. The US pulls off the ultimate buy now, pay later deal. The Louisiana Purchase. $15 million for a chunk of land that doubled the size of the country. Sweet deal, right? Except, there's one problem. France didn't own this land. What they sold was basically the rights to colonize. Like, sure, we'll step aside, but, you'll have to deal with the people who actually live there. And by deal with, I mean bribe, threaten, and let's be real, steal from justice and humanity, baby. Here's where things get messy. The US started signing treaties with native tribes, offering food, farming tools, and, like, blacksmith services in exchange for land. Sounds reasonable, right? When tribes said, nah, we're good here, the US just took it anyway. Oh, and the excuses? Hilarious. One time, they literally got tribal leaders drunk and tricked them into signing land away. Another time, they appointed random guys as tribal leaders and were like, sign here, please. It was basically the art of the deal. Make it evil. Now let's talk about the 5 civilized tribes: Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole. These tribes tried to adapt to European ways, speaking English, farming, even wearing fancy clothes. Some even owned slaves because they thought that would help them coexist. But nah, white settlers in the South were like, sorry, we need this land for our cotton empire. And by cotton empire, I mean slavery. Because nothing says civilized like building wealth on the backs of enslaved people. Georgia went full villain mode and tried to erase Cherokee sovereignty. The Cherokee fought back by taking them to the Supreme Court and won. Big moment, right? Nope. Andrew Jackson, our $20 bill king, basically said, cool story, bro, and passed the Indian Removal Act anyway. And this is where things go from bad to downright horrific. Over 100,000 Native Americans were forced to leave their homes and walk thousands of miles to what was supposed to be their forever land in Oklahoma. You might know it as the Trail of Tears. They called it the Trail Where We Cried. Imagine being chained up, marched through brutal weather, and dumped in a random rectangle on the map. Oh, and they were promised, we'll never bother you again. Yeah, about that. The US government kept every receipt. They documented every bribe, treaty, and lie. It's like a masterclass in pretending to be the good guy while doing the absolute worst. And before you ask, yes, Hitler studied this exact process when planning his own atrocities. He even referred to the Mississippi River as his version of the Volga. Let that sink in. So, if you've ever wondered if the US is stolen land, where do Americans belong? The uncomfortable truth is, well, we'd need a part 2 for that. Look, history isn't pretty, but knowing it is the first step towards doing better. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want more weird history lessons. And hey, don't be afraid to question the past, because let's be real, if you don't, who will?